Welcome back. So listen, Real Housewives of Atlanta season 14 reunion seating charts. You guys, what the hell? What is this? There are two big shockers. The first being Drew Sidora and Sanya Richards-Ross sitting next to each other. Whose bright idea was that? Which one of y'all producers from Potomac thought it was a great idea to sit Drew and Sanya next to each other, seeming as though they had a season-long beef, right? The second surprise being that Kandi is in her 13th season and is still sitting on the end. Now, Kandi, you don't get tired of Bravo dissing you. You don't get tired. Like, come on now. Y'all, today I'm being real. All right? I'm not finna politic with y'all. It is what it is. Everybody knows that seating matters. When you're on Watch What Happens Live, the person sitting next to Andy is the more relevant guest. The person sitting away from Andy is not as relevant. That's the bottom line. Same thing with the reunions on Bravo. The person sitting next to Andy had the most interesting storylines, or they had the most drama, or, you know, they're a veteran. Like, it means that you have status within the group. Okay, there's a purpose and a reason. There's a method for Bravo's madness. If you're sitting away from Andy on that last chair, honey, you're the least relevant. You had the least to say. You were the least talked about. You were the least interesting. Now, I don't think Kandi was the least interesting this season. I'm kind of perplexed. I did not expect sis to be all the way at the end. Not that Kandi is a stranger to the end, but I don't know. I kind of felt like Kenya and Kandi should have been switched, honestly, because Kenya did not have a story. Like, getting drunk at the nude interlude part 2 is not a storyline, sis. Okay, you crying in Santa's arms about Mark is not a storyline. Like, Kenya did not have no storyline except for Walmart, right? And we barely got to see that. So I don't know. Like, to me, that has to sting. Now, I know Kandi is Miss Worldwide. She don't care. She'll let it be known that, you know, she don't want to sit next to Andy, which means that you have the most drama. When she did sit next to Andy, it was the whole Dungeons and Dragons and Drugs gate, right? So she'll let it be known that she doesn't care. But to me, Kandi, it seems like a diss. It seems like a diss. It seems like they want to phase you out, or they want to diss you, or they want to do something like sit Kenya at the end. Okay, sit Ken at the end. Ooh, child, listen. And then Drew and Sanya, like, that don't even make sense. Like, logically, that just doesn't make sense. I feel like we can all agree on that. Like, why would you sit foes right next to each other? Now, if it was me, I would have sat Shereé on the other couch and then moved Drew. So they would have switched so that it could be Shereé, Marlo, and Sanya on one couch, because I kind of felt like they were a micro group within the group. And then Drew is cool with Kandi and Kenya. I mean, I don't know. And then we have Marlo and Shereé at first seat. This is interesting because do I think Shereé deserves this first seat? Well, I think it's her first season, her first reunion, having this first seat. So congratulations to her. Does she deserve it? I'm not quite sure. I mean, the Tyrone storyline, I felt like we waited 7 years for really nothing. Like, and I'm sorry, y'all, I'm gonna be shady today. We waited 6 years for nothing. We didn't even get to see the relationship between her and Tyrone, okay? If you think about it, Shereé has 3 storylines, and we're going to really break it down today. The first one being Tyrone, the second one being She by Shereé, and then the third one being her beef with Drew. Her beef with Drew started off really hot, but then it kind of fizzled, and then it kind of got reignited, but it was really nothing ever to want to tune in to watch. Like, it really wasn't that interesting, right? The situation between Fatum and Drew was more juicy than the situation between Drew and Shereé. And quiet as it's kept, you know, if you have Drew tell it, she thinks Shereé put Fatum up to her antics. But it's like, no, Shereé, like, you're the peach holder, not Fatum. So why don't you be with the antics and let Fatum, you know, be a sidekick? So yeah, I kind of feel like that beef wasn't even like, was I tuning in for it? No, it was like an on and off again, like little argument here and there. And it just wasn't TV worthy, except for maybe like their first fight at Brooklyn's birthday party. With that also being said, Shereé's storyline with She by Shereé, we've barely seen that. Like, we get maybe one scene an episode where she talks about She by Shereé, where she's fake going to the fabric store looking at woven fabrics that can't even be used in a fucking jogger. Like, girl, what? Like I told y'all, I'm not being nice today. I'm not. Like, why is you looking at these fabrics knowing that you need something stretchy, girl, for a jogger? Like, for me, I kind of feel like she already has the collection and this is all fake. So we got one little measly scene every episode about She by Shereé, right? Barely. And then back to Tyrone. Tyrone, we saw her on the phone with Tyrone like we saw her in the past 2 seasons where they tried to revive her peach. Nothing new, nothing different. I would say the only thing about the Tyrone and Shereé debacle that was kind of interesting was the fact that she went to Philly from New York, drove all them 5 hours to sit up there in the cold, getting frostbite for his stank ass to stand your ass up. That was kind of interesting. That was kind of juicy. That was fun to watch. Not fun like, oh, I'm glad that happened to her, but it was great TV, right? That was pretty much it. Like, we never really got to see the relationship all the way through. We never got to see it through, which I think sucks. It's kind of like Kenya and Mark, if you think about it. Like, we heard about Mark, you know, the man with the nose ring. He was the mystery man, and they secretly got married on the island. And this, that, and the third. It was a whole bunch of chatter like, oh my God, Kenya got married. And then she had the baby off the show. And then she came back to the show. So we were really excited, you know, to really see her relationship and the daughter and the whole nine. All for them to come to the show with problems and then get divorced or be separated by the end of the season. It's like, I can't root for a relationship. And I really can't be invested into a relationship if the relationship was shit from the beginning. Like, Shereé, you want me to feel something for you, which I did. But it's like, I wish we could have seen Tyrone in the flesh. Like, I wish we could have seen Tyrone, like, around the chateau, like, chilling and parlaying. Like, you know, and I understand he was at the halfway house and, you know, doing what he does. But, oh, girl, I don't know. And then Marlo having first seat, you know, congratulations to Marlo. Her first year being a peach holder, she has first seat. Okay, baby Nene. I want to know how Kenya feels about that. Ooh, Kenya is hot and bothered because if you guys can recall, last Sunday night, Kandi did a live on her YouTube and she basically was asked, you know, why did Kenya feel some sort of way at the reunion? Because it was a rumor that, you know, Kenya wasn't really happy. And Kandi played it off like, oh, I didn't hear that. Did she say that? And then she kind of slipped up and admitted that at first, Kenya was like, I'm not really sure about this reunion. And then once she started throwing jabs at Marlo Hampton, it got a little bit better for her, right? And I think maybe, just possibly just a theory, maybe she felt ways because she was in the middle between Shereé and Kandi and Marlo had her first seat. Now, as far as Marlo on the show, you know, Marlo, it was one big disappointment. I'm sorry. I told you I'm not being nice. No more. Sorry. Got to tell it like a TI is. Really, sis? You waited 10 years for this? Like, thank you for the whole backstory. The whole Michael and William thing, that was interesting. And, you know, the aunties and the sisters, I like that. And I believe we're going to get her mom and stuff like that. Like, I did like seeing Marlo in her townhouse and the whole Fendi shopping spree and Drew coming over and they were making cakes and cupcakes. Like, that was really cute. Like, moments like that I really, really did love. But the whole Kandi is effed out in Atlanta. Her PUSSY is broke. That's why she has to date below the tax bracket. All of that was just so dumb. If she would have packaged that whole narrative a little bit different and actually looked for a real issue with Kandi, like, let's just say, okay, Marlo is with her team and she's thinking about what her storyline is going to be, right? Because at this point, all of these shows are fake. I feel like Marlo could have just searched a little bit more higher and a little bit more lower and under and in between the crevices to find an issue with Kandi, because her issue with Kandi was basically the fact that she felt like Kandi wasn't there for Shereé when Shereé got dumped by the jailbird. That was not a great enough reason to say that Kandi's PUSSY was broke, sis. Like, I would have rather you had a problem with the vibrating panties, right? You know, or something. But it's like you pulled that out of your ass, out of your regular ass panties, and it wasn't hitting. It was not hitting. So, Overall, I think these seating choices are interesting. I mean, I don't know. I felt like, and I hate to drag on the show, this is my favorite show, which is the reason why I'm so passionate and critical about it. I feel like this season was definitely a letdown. It had some really good moments, but it was such a struggle. And I feel like Carlos King, everybody going on those interviews saying, "Oh my God, this is such a great season." It's like, girl, why did you lie? Like, you didn't have to lie. You didn't have to lie. Y'all did not lie about the COVID season. Y'all were honest about that. Like, oh, we had some difficulties because people kept getting COVID and we had to stop filming and we really couldn't be out like that. And, Fallon had a Halloween party with no folks and no candy corn and no alcohol, no food, no nothing, but just a Medusa costume, child. Simon should have taught her a little bit better. Like, girl, if you're going to be a housewife, throw a real party. So they were honest about that season. They were like, listen, we're going through COVID. We did the best we could. When y'all went out for these little interviews, y'all should have been like, listen, we just got, over COVID. We're still transitioning. But of course, I guess, they have to drum up hype and stuff like that. So I get it. Listen, I don't want to be too hard on the girls, but I could not get off this damn couch without saying all that. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about the situation in the comments down below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to create a great day.